Every producer that's been making music for more than a few years knows what few pieces of gear are their tried and true, the gear that they would recommend to anyone in a heartbeat. Well, I've got 4 of them, and I'm going to tell you what they are and why I think they're worth every penny. What is up, creatives? I'm Jahrell, your music technologist, here to help you master the tech you need to make music freely. I make videos every week talking about all things music production, giving you tip and tutorials, gear reviews, and the like. If you enjoy that kind of content, definitely hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. Turn that notification bell, all that jazz, so you don't miss them. And a like would be very much appreciated. All that aside, let's get straight into my 4 tried and true, top creme de la creme devices that have really paid for themselves in the long run. Starting with number 1. That is this iPad right here. My M1 iPad Pro. Purchased this last year. This is the 11-inch. Yes, I do have it mounted in my studio. If you want to know about how I have that mounted, definitely check that video out up here where I go into my whole studio setup in detail. But anyway, this guy right here is the 11-inch iPad Pro. Like I said, this does have the M1 in it. It is the 11-inch. I really like this form factor. This is also the 1 terabyte model, which I definitely recommend. The first iPad Pro I got actually had 256 gigs of storage, and that turned out to not be anywhere near enough. But this guy right here, 1 terabyte's been holding me down, as well as this form factor. I really like the 11-inch model. It's the perfect screen size to portability ratio, in my opinion. I've had the 12.9-inch before, and I used to think, oh yeah, I like having this big old tablet, but it really didn't function as a tablet. I used it as a laptop, and I used it as a monitor, basically. This guy is good at being a desktop device, but also good at being an actual tablet that you would use to write with and do other things with. So beyond that, this has been a really good music production device. The ceiling for an M1 iPad Pro, as opposed to something like an Air, a Mini, or even the budget iPad, the ceiling is much higher. And I can throw a lot more at it before it starts breaking a sweat, and that is perfect for someone that has some pretty advanced needs for music production. I make full songs on this iPad right here, and I need it to function well without a bunch of hiccups, and the M1 has held it down. On top of that, super good battery life, and it's just a fun, fluid experience. People have asked me why, if I have a MacBook, do I choose to make music on an iPad, and I'm actually going to be putting out a video on that in the very near future. But the short version is I just enjoy it. It's just fun. So yeah, number 1, my tried and true gear is the M1 iPad Pro 11-inch 1 terabyte model. Going on to number 2 is the Audio Technica ATH M50Xs. These guys right here. These are my headphones that I've been rocking for a very long time. Now, this is probably the second pair I've ever bought, mostly because I gave my other pair to my brother and just bought a replacement. But he's still using his pair, so they're holding up real nice. The build quality on these is really good. It's a lot of plastic, but you would think that would make it, feel cheap, or that it would break down quickly. But nah, these have been holding up for a long time. I've bought like 2 pairs in 6 years, and they have held up nice. These ones I like a lot. These are the Bluetooth model. I like them because they have Bluetooth, obviously, but I like them even more because they have a standard 3.5 millimeter jack right here, as opposed to on the standard ones, they have a 2.5, and it's a very specialty port, and that's kind of frustrating. But yeah, I really like these. Solid sound quality. When you're trying to mix your music, you need something with a more flat signal curve, meaning they're not boosting the highs or the lows or cutting mids. This has a great sound balance. They're critically acclaimed. People have videos about these all over the internet. A lot of high profile producers and artists use these headphones, and the cost to performance ratio, it's there. It's great. The standard model of these, the regular M50Xs, go for between 130 to 140 bucks, which is leaps and bounds below something like a Beats Studio Pro or whatnot. Yeah, can't say enough good about these. I highly recommend these to anyone. That also reminds me, I'm going to be leaving links to all of this stuff down in the description so you can pick it up yourself. Definitely check those out. Those are affiliate links, helps the channel out a bit, but it doesn't cost you any extra, so appreciate you. Next up, I'm going to take the top-down camera and I'm going to show you over here on my desk. Number 3 is the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, and it is my audio interface of choice. This is my interface. This is the one I use. I've had this for probably a little over a year now at this point, but it's really solid audio quality. It's got 2 inputs, 2 outputs. It's got a headphone jack in the front. You've got your individual volume knobs for your headphones versus your speakers. It's got direct monitor for either 1 or 2 of these. You can choose to have it in mono or stereo, basically. I haven't messed with the instrument option, but I'm assuming that provides a certain amount of voltage for plugging instruments into this. I have my studio mic running into it right now, and that's about all I use it for right now. Every once in a while, I'll plug up the bass and use it, but also obviously has your phantom power, your 48 volts there. Solid sound quality coming out of this compared to the last interface that I had, which was the M Audio Mobile Pre. This one blows it out of the water. A lot better sound quality, and the cost to performance ratio is pretty insane. I believe this interface usually goes for about $150. Highly recommend the Focusrite. There's other ones out there too that are budget and quality, but I really like the Focusrite, so that's number 3. We've finally made it to number 4, and that is, of course, the CME XKEY Air, and this is the 25 key. And for many reasons, this is one of my favorite pieces of gear that I've ever purchased. Now, don't get me wrong, the XKEY Air and I have had a pretty sketchy relationship over the years, to say the least. I've made some videos about this, a couple of them talking about how amazing it was, and I think at least one just talking about some of the issues that I've had with this. What I've learned in my time with the XKEY Air is that this can be an amazing device if your software is working properly with it. Now, I've had my on and off again problems with Beatmaker 3, which is my DAW of choice, and this controller, but I think I've figured everything out to the point where I haven't had any issues with the XKEY Air anymore. So I highly recommend this yet again. The CME XKEY Air, the 25 key, is very portable. It's super thin. I mean, look at this. Come on. It's very, very thin. The keys are this clicky type of key, which you would think would be really annoying, but for some reason is very satisfying to me to play on. Usually I have this thing down here on the desk, and you'll see it in my videos, and I just play it right here. And, you know, one of the downsides is that it doesn't have a sustain pedal port on it because it's so super thin. But what I do is I plug in my big keyboard back here in the background, the Alesis, and I turn that on, run the sustain pedal from there under my desk, and I can just use the sustain pedal in conjunction with my XKEY. But I understand not everybody has another keyboard lying around. But if you're not, super bummed about the sustain pedal, this is a really, really good MIDI keyboard, very portable, and it actually has pretty amazing battery life. Like, I hardly ever charge this thing and it never dies. So there you go. Really quick, I want to give an honorable mention to my personal instrument. This is my viola that I keep back there on the wall. You guys have seen it quite a few times hanging up back here. But I've played this in a few of my tracks, and I really, really, really love this instrument. It is by far the most expensive thing that is in this room, but for good reason. This is a custom handmade viola that I purchased at Loveland Violin Shop in Santa Rosa, my hometown, and it's made by the shop owner himself, Mick Loveland. And this is one of 3 that exist that he created, and it's really nice, really quality instrument. It is a 16-inch instrument, but it plays like 15.5 because of the modified string length. It's just a really great instrument. I love it. It has a wonderfully deep and rich tone. There you have it, folks. That's my 4 tried and true pieces of gear with a bonus. Quick question for you. I want to know what's your personal favorite piece of gear that you've ever bought. Drop a comment down below, or you could even snap a pic and tag me on Twitter or Instagram at Jahrell Amani. But until next time, creatives, go make something dope, and I'll see you in the next video.